many ways and distinctly, in various hymns and also in well-reasoned and conclusive expressions of aphorisms of the Absolute, i.e. the Brahma Sutra. Sri Krishna tells Arjun here that what he is speaking about, the topic he is speaking about, is the field and the knower of the field. And it's not being spoken about for the first time, and neither it's the first time that Sri Krishna has been saying it. There is a whole parampara, which is described as tradition, behind it. This wisdom has been sung and explained by the sages in many ways and distinctly in various hymns, meaning the Vedas such as the Rig Ved, the Samved, the Atharved and the Yajurved, and also in well-reasoned, logical arguments and conclusive expressions of aphorisms of the Absolute, which is the Brahma Sutra. Sri Krishna says the sages have also said this, but this has been spoken about in the Vedas and the Upanishads, and it's also been spoken about in the Brahma Sutra. So when we see the words in many ways, which is from this verse, distinctly in various hymns, and so on, which is stated in this verse, the description of these words does not mean that the Kshetrajna is of different types, because the knower of the field is one. It is just that the descriptions are different. So this will become clearer later when I describe it further. The word va is used, and it means this, which shows that the same one wisdom is being spoken about, but the methods of saying it is different. And this is the key concept here. So if we take the example of a woman in the house, different people will describe her in different ways. The brother will describe her as his sister, the father will describe her as his daughter, and the husband will describe her as his wife. The son will describe her as his mother, and the brother-in-law will describe her as his sister-in-law. The woman is one, but she is described in multiple ways, in various different ways. So if you read this description, then you will feel as if they're describing 6 different women. But no, these descriptions all amount to the same person. And in the same way, the wisdom that the rishis have described in many different ways, which has been described in the Vedas and has been described in the Brahma Sutra, states that the wisdom is one and the knower of the field is one, but the way in which one has a relationship with it and the way in which one understands it, that is what has been changed. This is why you should not see the difference in this wisdom, but you should try to experience what the wisdom is. There's a very nice phrase in English which is to read between the lines, so that you can get, and this actually means to get the total experience. Otherwise you can't get it just by looking at the words. So whenever Guruji gives a discourse, he always says try to hear between the words, because then you will sense the experience. This is because the wisdom and the supreme truth cannot be said through words alone. In the Taittiriya Upanishad, it is said, Yato vachoni vartante aprapya manasya saha, which means this is an experience that cannot be described by words, but it can be described by experience. It is indescribable. Sri Krishna is saying that the science of the field and the knower of the field has not been produced from somewhere. It has been supported by the parampara, i.e. tradition. It is because what Sri Krishna is saying in this verse has the support of parampara that is time tested. Not only that, but the Supreme Soul himself has accepted the tradition. If you look at it in only one way, then Sri Krishna is a revolutionary. But as a revolutionary, he accepts tradition. He accepts what is good in tradition, and he also accepts that which is good from modern age. You'll see that some people in society will always try to say that old is gold, and they will only hold on to tradition. But there can also be rubbish in that which is old, and which must be discarded, and therefore we must be bold. If we look at a piece of antique furniture, but we don't ever clean it, and we don't remove the dust, which is the rubbish on it, it will become old, and people will stop touching it. It will begin to become dirty, and this will lead to insects, and therefore to its destruction. Therefore, we must continue to keep cleaning it. And in the same way, we should accept what is good in tradition, but we should also accept what is good in modernity. Therefore, Sri Krishna is a revolutionary in this way. A true revolutionary is like this. People say that a revolutionary is he who throws away everything that's old as being wrong, but this will not work. Society will throw those things away, and time will throw those things away. And if the person begins to say that people should throw everything away that's old, this won't work. Sri Krishna will accept tradition, but he will also adore it, and at the same time he will show his humility as a preacher. Sri Krishna says that wisdom has been sung about in the Vedas, and he says that the Supreme Soul is the breadth of the Vedas. Sri Krishna even says that the wisdom he is giving Arjun is not because this has been sung by the rishis, not because it's been described in the Vedas, but it's also been spoken about in the Brahma Sutra. If you think about it, Sri Krishna hasn't kept a copyright of this. He gives you and I. He doesn't say to us that you are right, have no copyright over this. He doesn't. Do we have the right to say I am saying this? I am saying this? No. Within the limits of language, you can say in the flow that I am saying this, but one should know that it's not I that am saying this, but it is God that is saying this. God is making you the medium. There is a sentence which says, the truth is one, but the ways of saying it changes because the questions change. God is one, but the ways of saying it changes because the questions change. Therefore, what we should draw from this is that the truth is one. The truth cannot be different, because if it were different, then it would not be the truth. It can only be one. Like in the same way that we use the example of the mother. She is only one, but she is seen in different ways. The ways of saying it can be different, but the Supreme Soul says that it gets its support from the Parampara. Now, God tells Arjun that such is the wisdom that I am giving you. Wherever wisdom has come from, a person should say that it has come from the origin. This quality is seen in very few wise people. That's because the ego is so powerful that lots of people take the difficulty of stopping their speech and would like to take the credit for themselves. So when someone else has said something, they will say, I am saying this. They basically plagiarize. The saint of Maharashtra was named Tukaram, and he calls this Pragna Parad, which is the theft of wisdom. Any thinker and any preacher that stands on the shoulders of giants before him, even in science, for example, if a research scholar in medical science invents a new medicine, then you can't say, I have invented this, because you came yesterday. You studied that person's research, and it was because of that that you were able to invent the future thing that you have invented. And this has been going on for many years in medical science, and this is how you came forward. But this does not mean that you have done everything. If those people before you had not walked 500 steps, then how would you be able to walk the 501st step? If you had to learn your ABCD, your alphabet from the beginning, then you would be able to not be able to do everything on your own. Therefore, in each and every field, the people who are senior are to be respected. When a son says, I have created this whole business empire, then if his father hadn't left him just a small shop, then how would he be able to have started this business empire? In each and every person, there must be some or something from another person. And in this way, we will experience a lot of humility. We must recognize those who come before us. Even Sri Krishna says in this verse that the rishis have sung about this wisdom. It is spoken about in the Vedas and also in the Brahma Sutra. This shows that Sri Krishna has a lot of intellectual honesty, and he shows his humility. Sri Krishna says that the Brahma Sutra have sung about the Supreme Soul, and that it is a beautiful subject. He says, Atato Brahma Jignasa. Now it is time to inquire about Brahman. For those who want the wisdom of Brahma Sutra and who want to know what the Brahma Sutra are, Guruji gives us an example. So far we've been discussing the first, second and third verses of the 13th chapter of the Gita. These are 10%, whereas the Brahma Sutras are 100%. Now think about how much preparation we must need for it. We need mental preparation. We need preparation of a concentrated mind, and not only that, but we need capacity for the Brahma Sutra. There is a sentence which says, Atato Brahma Jignasa, Janma Dhyasa Yataha, which is, now it is time to inquire about Brahman. It frees one from rebirth. It has been written about in a formulaic way, but Sri Krishna says that he is saying the same thing that has been spoken about already in a simple and straightforward way. So what is this wisdom of the Kshetra and the Kshetragna, the knower of the field? From the 5th verse, God begins the wisdom of the Kshetra, the field. He introduces us to the Kshetra, the field, and what the Kshetra is like. Earlier we gave the example of 5 people who came forward to say that this person is theirs, but they didn't know what was in the purse. This was in the previous chapters, in the previous verses. And God says, I know what is in my purse. God goes on to list what is in his purse in the 5th and 6th verses. So we'll move on to the 5th verse. Mahabhutane